Okay, so we're at Fehmarn Foil Festival, and I've got a good opportunity now to talk to some of the people who really know what they're talking about in terms of these new power wings. Here is Romain from F1 International. You're the sales manager for F1.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole of F1.
Exactly.
So this
Hello.
is the guy. F1 have recently introduced two power wings. One is called the Frigate, and the other one is called the Plume. Now, there is a lot of confusion out there about these two different styles.
Yeah.
First of all, let's just start at the beginning. What is a power wing, and what is it designed to do?
So, power wing or pocket wing, how we call it with F1, is meant to have that freedom in downwinding, in riding. We know a lot of people have been struggling for downwinding with the paddle, and it permits to give more opportunity, more accessibility to the end consumer, to all the guys riding today, and to be more into the downwinding. And it's much more accessible than it used to be. Yeah.
Okay, so can you just quickly take us through the main differences between the Frigate and the Plume?
Yeah, so it's totally two new sport for us. So pocket wing and K-wing, we call it, with the Plume. So the K-wing is the right mixture and the right balance between a wing and a kite, with all the advantage that you have the kite, with the power of the canopy and that C shape that you have in the kite, but also the easiness of riding with the wing that you have today. It is more efficient, easy to ride, easy to handle, very accessible and very intuitive. And then you have the pocket wing, which is really meant for having easiness to get out of the water while foiling, but also that freedom of riding while you have that easiness of packing the product. Yeah.
Yeah. So the differences between the two in their structure, the Frigate, which is what you're calling a pocket wing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's single skin.
Yeah.
And we've got this short line bridle system.
Yeah.
Can you take us through the main sort of design points, first of all?
So, well, it's standard to all the pocket wing. It looks very similar, but we come pretty late compared to the competitors because we've been testing what has been done on the market. We could have come out earlier with the product, but we weren't satisfied about it. And we were not reaching the points that we wanted to target, which are performance, but also easiness to pack. These are the two key points in our development. So for that, about performance, we have three types of bridles: A on the top, B in the middle, C at the back. We wanted also to make it easy to understand and easy to read. So you have the orange bridle for the A, and the canopy is orange, so it means it's the front of the pocket wing. So easy to know when you have to relaunch the product, while downwinding, that the orange part has to be at the front. We have less bridle compared to the competitors. This is also meant to gain a bit of weight, because bridle can be a bit heavy when you have too much. So the idea was to have less bridles, shorter bridles, because we wanted also something very efficient to pack and easy to get to the top end of the bridles, to pack it. So we have shorter bridles compared to the competitors, but also we've reduced the number of bridles because on our pocket wing we have those ribs, the wide part, and those sections permit to hold the tension on the canopy, but also we have diagonal ribs. These ribs permit to avoid having a connection with the bridle. And also it permits to gain a lot of weight. And one of the key points that is the main difference compared to the other one is that we have dynamic bridles. So some competitors are using a pulley on the bridles. We didn't want it to use that at all. We wanted to have really something totally new on the market. And for that, so we have A and B connected together at that section, and that's the dynamic bridle. So when you're pulling the bar, A get tense, B get intense, so it holds really the tension on the profile of the pocket wing. And then when you're cutting the power, so pushing the bar downward, then A are being untense, and then B is taking care of holding the profile. Yeah.
And I'm sure it was that was helping, because when I used this yesterday, I was absolutely blown away by how stable it was, how easy it was to control. There was no twitchiness about it in its low end or in its top end. And for a power wing, at least the power wings that I've tested and used myself,
Yeah.
they're either really good at one end or the other of the power range, either in the top end or the bottom end. And this one, for me, not only had a really good range, but it performed so well at the entire range. It struck me as being capable of a really high level of performance, but also it was so easy to use.
Yeah.
Other brands that I've used which have been aimed towards the upper end of the performance market, I've felt that's been at the expense of the ease of use. So either they're super high performance, but you've got to really be very good to be able to do it, or they're more about the low end and sort of easy to use, but they haven't got such a good high end. For me, this wing really struck me as being an amazingly good all-rounder. The lines weren't too long, stability was there. When I was flying upwind, the level of control just from delicate bar movements, it just felt really, really good. It impressed me so much. But what's also impressed me is this. Now, this is the Plume.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, first of all, let's clear this up for once and for all. Is it a para wing, pocket wing? It's not. It's a K-wing.
Yeah, exactly.
And that
so
stands for
kite wing.
kite wing.
Exactly. So the name of the sport is totally new, totally initiated by Romain Halm. So we are the first one to bring out that type of products. So the idea in the development was to have something efficient where you have a kind of freedom, not as much freedom as with the pocket wing, because you don't pack it as easily, but we wanted to have something very light. That is why we don't have any struts in the middle, so saving some weight. The bar is not totally affecting the flight of the Plume because it's super light, it's carbon made, so it's very, very light. And the idea also it was to have something where people feel like safe, having less bridle. So that was also a key important point. And really the idea was something that as soon as you take it in your hand, you feel like safe and easy to handle it. So
again, I would totally agree with that. I've used the Plume a lot now, and I've fallen in love with it. And I want to say right now, I have no affiliation with F1.
Yeah.
It's just, I tried the Plume, I loved it. I have the opportunity, because I go to all these events, to try a lot of different brands. And when I get excited about a product, I want to tell people about its uses, what it's useful for, what it's good at. And I'm honest about, it's good at this, but I didn't like that particular bit about it. So whenever I do a video, I try to be as honest and as open as I can be. I am not employed by F1. I am not given any free equipment by F1. This is my personal opinion. And I think the Plume is a genius invention. It's a genius product. It's right for some people, and it's not right for other people. For me, I'm using the Plume to do very, very, very long distances upwind so that I can turn around, I can pack it away and then use foil drive to get me back up on foil so I can downwind back again.
Exactly.
And honestly, out of all the power wings that I've tried, the Plume, I don't need a harness. The bar pressure is so light, I don't need a harness. And I can go, I've gone 30 kilometers upwind so far as my longest run. And I've felt like less sort of muscle ache than a 3 or a 4K upwind run with a normal power wing.
But even with the wing, in comparison, it's less effort than a wing going upwind. The steering, you have much more control on the power. Using the bar for it, because on the bridles we have a pulley, so it permits also to handle better the power. And really the aspect of the K-wing is to open the sport to a wider range of people.
So I'm using it for what I've just described, but I can imagine this is the product that will allow people to discover new ways of doing of foiling. It's it's a totally unique product, and you know, I really love the fact that F1 have designed something that no one else has thought of, and it's what I think encapsulates the spirit of foiling. It's going to allow people to figure out new and exciting ways of foiling. So, what else did I want to say about the Plume? It's literally the easiest of all these comparable type products to relaunch.
For sure.
So water relaunching, you don't even have to think about it. It just behaves. It sits there on the edge of the wind window. When you're ready, you just put a little bit of tension on the back lines, and it gently rises up into the air. It just floats there when you're jibing. There's no horrible surprises when you're going upwind. What I loved about as well as the bar pressure and how light it was, just that movement, you can feel and see the whole wing changing the angle of attack.
Exactly, yeah.
It's just unbelievable how much control you can get. You can fly it back if you want to fly it back in the window. You can keep it where it is, but change that angle of attack. And when I was going upwind, which was a really good angle, and I don't ever measure angles, so I can't say if it's better than a kite foil or a wind wing or anything else, but it was a really good upwind angle. Normally with a power wing, in a lull, I would bear off downwind and sort of sheet in, you know, to get more power. But this one, I could have a choice. I could change the angle of attack.
Exactly.
I could change the position of the power wing, or I could bear off, you know, or all of them.
Exactly.
It just gives so much more control. It's crazy.
Well, it was part of the development to have as good performance in the upwind position, because we know today most of the people have not the possibility, you know, to take the car, drive upwind, and then just go downwind. It's a lot of organization, and we wanted to have something that is easy to pack if then you want to relaunch with foil drive or with a paddle or with a pocket wing in your backpack. And yeah, that upwind performance is one of the key success of it, because only with one handle you can go easily upwind, you know. And that is why on the pocket wing we are providing the Frigate with a hook. It's because it's super hard to go upwind with a pocket wing without a wing harness.
For any long distance.
Yeah, for any long distance. It is really sore in the forearms, in the shoulder, while the Plume, it's, well, just chilling on the board and going upwind, taking your time. You might not go as fast as the Strike V5 Alula, for example, which is a very high performance, but the angle of upwind is very similar to a wing and sometimes even better.
Right.
And also what is really important about the K-wing is the wind range, and that's what's the most surprising thing. And even Raphael is very surprised about that, because with one sizes, for example, the 5 meter, you can cover from 15 to 30 knots.
I honestly, I would agree with that. I was at, I think it was 12 to 27 knots was what the wind stations were saying. And I never felt overpowered. I always had full control.
If I had one recommendation about the first use for someone who wants to try the K-wing, try to use it in 20-25 knots, steady wind, use long boards.
What size? The 5 meter?
Yeah, for the 5 meters, 20 to 25 knots. Because it's different, you don't generate as much power with the wing. But as soon as you feel the wind getting blowing that canopy, you feel the power pretty quickly, like pushing you, pulling you forward. And straight away, like, the board get to slide, and easily, like, gaining speed, the foil start to lift you easily. Then straight away, when the foil lifts you, straight away, the Plume gets on the edge of the window, like the kite, and being super stable. And in front of you.
Yeah. So what I noticed when I was using it without foil drive was that I had to be pretty much pointing downwind, at least a lot more downwind, to take off. But once I'd figured that out, it was fairly straightforward. I would also say that wind range, if I'm on the 4 meter Frigate, I would probably be on the 5 meter Plume. And I genuinely don't see that that's a problem, because every product like this is going to have its wind range. You choose the right size for the wind that's there, and whether you're on a 4 meter or a 5 meter in that wind range, it doesn't matter. that's the wind that is appropriate for that product.
Exactly.
It's like the size of the foil for the size of the wave. You choose the right product for the right conditions. Okay, so I want to ask you just the last couple of things.
Yeah.
Is a little bit of technical help, because I'm not an expert. I would consider myself a very average skill level for a foiler. I'm very new to parawinging, and most of the time I'm using these for going upwind, but the more I use them, the more I'm liking them. And this whole stowing away and redeploying, that was the only thing I found difficult on the Frigate, was pulling it in. It wasn't the line length, the lines aren't too long, but somehow I couldn't bring it in. How would you advise me? What would you say that could help me to do the stow and redeploy method with the Frigate?
Well, if you feel it hard, there is like one thing that we've had in the bridles. It's that grade line, which is like completely like pulling the leading edge into the window, so like cutting completely the power, and then easily like you can easily grab all the lines and pack it pretty quickly.
Okay.
One recommendation is that, of course, when you have tension, the lines, the best thing is to go a bit downwind and then just grab the line and just get into the line and pretty quickly fold. The good thing is that we don't have a long length, so as soon as you lose the tension, you are pretty quickly at the end of the bridles, and then you don't get tangled into the
Right,
bridles.
that was probably my problem. I was trying to gather up all of the lines. So you've just done it on the front lines. So
Well, there is not a perfect technique. Everyone has a different technique. And Nicolas Caillou, our developer, is sometimes using that line to pull it out. Some of our testers are using only the A bridles to pull it, and others one are taking all the bridles. Personally, I'm taking all the bridles at once.
okay,
There is not a specific technique. It depends on everyone and style of riding.
I'm pretty sure it was my lack of technique, my lack of experience that didn't let me do that. But I'm going to give that a try next time, just trying to gather it up from the front lines, because that makes sense. That'll instantly depower it. Okay, so you can't obviously stow and redeploy in the same way with the Plume. That's more of, you pull it in and you hold the front handle and you flag it like a hand wing. Yeah?
Exactly. So here, same, no specific technique. Some of them are just pulling the red line, which is our safety line. So it's like pulling while you're riding, it's pulling the leading edge towards you. You grab the handle and then you switch the plume on the other side. Or we have some riders, or I'm just pulling. I'm getting to the bridles, putting it, and just like a kite, when you land a kite, you pull the bridles, and then the leading edge comes straight to you, and then you grab the handles. And then for the relaunch, this year is like, I'm pulling the red line, getting to the bar, and as soon as I have the bar, I just orientate the plume in a takeoff position, and just I let it go, and the wind gets straight into it, and there is like no hard tension pulling you forward. It's just small shock, but still it's like handleable, like for anyone. Even a girl can do it pretty easily. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, you say even a girl. That puts me in my place if I can't do it yet. One thing that I haven't done a lot is try to flag it. I've tried it once. I think I need to practice on flagging that and stowing and redeploying that. So listen, thanks a lot. This has been really, really kind of you to talk to me, and I hope this is interesting for people who are listening, helping you make your mind up about which type of product is right for you, because these are very different products.
Yeah.
And people, I think what's really exciting is that people will find the right use for them, but you can't find the right use for them unless you know what they're capable of. So
well, if I had to add something to that, I will say like the K-wing is the first step into downwinding before getting to a frigate. Downwinding is accessible for everyone, but everyone needs to keep in mind that reading bumps, reading the sea is not that easy. So yeah, frigate plume is the first step, and then easily you can get on the frigate to downwind. Yeah.
I can imagine that the Plume would be easier to learn downwinding, because when you're turning off the wind, you're going downwind, and it just floats above you.
Yeah.
Then when you're learning to downwind, you're not able to read the bumps yet, and it's very easy to come off foil. So if it's just up there and all you've got to do is pull it back down into the power zone again, that's really easy.
Yeah.
But if you've pulled that in and you've no longer got
Yeah.
it, and you're not able to read and ride the bumps yet, then you're probably going to fall before you have a chance to redeploy it. So I think that's going to be one of the big strengths of the Plume to help people to learn to downwind.
It is the case, and that's what it's meant to. Exactly.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks again, man.
Happy
Cheers.
to talk to you.
Awesome.
Cheers. Bye, guys.
Bye.